Hey, folks, and welcome to episode 4 of the Wizard PPE. Now, the astute among you may notice that our set has in fact changed between episode 3. And this is because I originally recorded episode 4, but I accidentally lost the footage when I was trying to clear some space on my hard drive. So, which isn't really unfortunate. I tried for a while to recover it, but then I figured it wasn't too big of a deal. The only thing of significance that I can say is that it's sad that we lost the footage for the first white bag that we've gotten, which is the robe from the Mad Lab. Other than that, we also picked up a tier 5 spell, which is 2 tiers higher than our tier 3 spell. And we also picked up a Captain's Ring, which is kind of like a Walmart crown. So those were the only major changes, I believe. Our staff and our spellblade remain the exact same tier. We still have a snake eye ring. Hopefully this won't disrupt the series too much. And let's just hop right back in to what we were doing, which is just keeping on doing the sprite worlds and snake bits. And something that I was meaning to talk about today is that as of the time of this recording, currently, the final round of the 2024 FIDE Candidates Tournament is ongoing, and this is probably one of the most hype tournaments of candidates tournaments, at least, of the past several years. Mainly because right now, all four leaders are playing each other. Gukesh is playing Hikaru, and Fabiano is playing Jan. And the three members of the Chase Pack, which are Fabi, Hikaru, and Jan, and Gukesh, who is the sole leader of the tournament, which actually marks the first time that Jan has ever not been at least tied for first in the candidates. So everything basically rides on these games today to decide who's going to be the world chess champion contender. And I am not a good chess player at all. I'm like 800 healed, but it is still very interesting to see the kind of play at top levels that we see from these players who are like the best in the world, basically. Although, of course, Magnus, the former world chess champion who abdicated his title, is not playing in this candidates. And for some people, that would diminish the value of the tournament, and that, the person that people widely consider to be the world's best player is not actually in this tournament. But for me, that doesn't really diminish much of the entertainment value. I would say the quality of play and the drama that's gone down in this tournament have been very interesting to watch. And I don't think Magnus not being there really impacts the viewing experience all that much, at least for me. And at a high level, the physical element of playing chess is actually also very important, considering sometimes the games can get up to 6 or 7 hours. To be able to hold that amount of mental concentration over such an extended period of time is just absolutely amazing. And you need to be in pretty good physical fitness as well for that. And it's kind of difficult for me to even imagine doing anything remotely close to that myself. I'm somebody who struggles with even multitasking in terms of commentating at the same time as playing the game. But hopefully, throughout the course of this series, I will get slightly better at it than I have been. And hopefully, we get to see that. A snake bit, we will absolutely go into this. And I like to keep the spell blade around because it pierces armor and it also pierces enemies. So when you're clearing the walls in the snake pit like this, it's a lot easier with the spell blade, just purely because it can hit multiple of the walls at the same time instead of having to manually break one and break the next. There's an event currently going on in the ancient ruins. That's what these tablets are. I think it's the events that have been going on. I'm not sure if we can actually trade in for anything that is relevant to Wizard, but if we are able to, then that would be good as well, because then we could get an item that we can use. Right? The treasure room was called, and we should get a 0. And it was kind of a 0, I guess. We didn't get anything that we can use. No potions either. Also, please let me know in the comments if you would like me to accelerate, I guess, through the early game a bit faster. A lot of this footage tends to look very samey at this stage in the game. So if you would like for me to include a lot more dungeons at once in a montage kind of style, at least for now, please let me know. Recently, I've been getting into writing a bit. I'll dedicate an hour, slightly more, at the end of every day to just kind of write. I have an idea for a fantasy series that's been floating around in my head, in the ether for a long time now. I would say probably actually even close to a year at this point, but I've never gotten around to setting that idea down on paper until now. Recently, I've been doing it out of chronological order. I kind of just write a few scenes that pop into my head whenever the ideas come to me for specific scenes. I'll just write them down. And I'm not a perfectionist in most things, but in writing, oftentimes I'll read back over what I've written. Whenever I feel like what I've written isn't conveying what I want to say in a super perfect way, it does get super frustrating. But I know that in writing, like in everything, you can't really expect perfection from the get-go. So obviously it's something that comes with practice and something that comes with multiple revisions over time. In particular, I struggle with doing what that old writer's adage suggests, which is to show and not to tell. I do a lot of technical writing, so that might be a factor of it, but oftentimes I find that I will do a lot of just plain stating what's going on in a scene, just very matter of factly. And that kind of does affect the writing a little because it's not very emotive at all. It just sounds like somebody reading an instruction manual or something like that. So I think that's one specific thing that I have to improve in the future. And this boss is actually quite dangerous. You can die very fast if you don't know what you're doing because the paralyzes that the minions shoot out, along with these assassin bombs doing an insane amount of damage, can combine for a deadly combo on you. And should we use this cloth on our wizard? I don't think so, because that I feel like that would make us look a bit ugly, and I do not want that. So, let's see, alien dungeons have also just dropped. I think yellow and green have stabs, and yellow is the easier of the two, so we could go for a yellow. Okay, it's up there, but we're taking a lot of damage. And I don't think I'm going to risk going into one of those. I will just do this sprite world instead. Okay, that got a bit sketchy. And okay, here we are. That was a good spell long and another good one. Since we have the white bag robe from the Mad Lab, we can spam our spell a lot more than we might be able to otherwise. And we have a tier 5 spell, so we are doing quite a bit of damage with every spell bomb, even if we don't land all of the shots at once. And somebody is offering a free bulwark in the chat. It's very, very kind. Sometimes if I see newer players, I'll try and donate them some stuff from my vault because I keep a lot of junk that I don't really need anymore in my vault. So I'll just give it to them if they want it, which I feel like is is a good thing to do because this is a difficult game, especially when you're just starting. And having good gear can make a world of difference in the early game. Another good change that the Realm rework is going to make is that there will be less potions you need to drink to max in total across the board, which I think is a really good change for the health of the game. Because after a certain point, once you already know what you're doing, what the dungeons are like, it really just becomes a monotonous grind to max your stats. It doesn't even present all that much of a challenge, unless the challenge is just not getting bored. But other than that, the the gameplay loop is very samey, I would say, which is not great for the health of the game as a whole. So thankfully, I think they're going to change it so that it is easier to max. I think speed and dex in specific, and also defense, because currently when you level up, your other stats might get permanently increased, but your defense will never get increased when you level up. Okay, another cloth. It's rather unfortunate. It is what it is, and we are at the boss. Now, attack is going to be probably our most frustrating stat to max. And if we ever want to do Discord runs in the future, we probably need attack max. So that's going to mean doing a lot of these Puppet Masters theaters, which are some of the rarer Godlands dungeons. So it's really pretty unfortunate, I would say. And we get a PM. Okay, very nice. Hopefully, at some point we can get a slightly better weapon than because right now the tier 8 staff just isn't cutting. Oh, we get a speed from. Okay, and the final boss is going to be the yellow bee. And a wisdom. Okay, there we go. Now, should we do this next? And it looks like we have a treasure room up there in the top right of the map. Now, this is a bit of a scary modifier. Minions attack 30% faster, especially because the minions in the nest are very fast moving and they shoot very fast as well. This could be a big concern, but hopefully we can get something good out of this nest once we finish it, if we even finish it. If you are a beginner who is just starting out learning exaltation dungeons, I would definitely recommend Nest as the first one that you learn because most of the boss phases are fairly straightforward and it is rather difficult to die in a large group, especially if you are using a Discord to do it. And you will be able to get a lot of life and dexterity from this dungeon, which are both two very important stats. And in terms of which dungeons you should learn next, I would recommend after Ness, I would recommend the Fungal and Crystal Caverns and the Cultist Hideout. Then after that, I would recommend the Marble Colossus, which is the boss of the main Lost Halls, and then the Void, which is the secret boss after the Marble Colossus. And then I would recommend the Cogbolt Steamworks. Let's Not Die, that would be sad. And then I would recommend Orcs 3, and then Shatters, and then Moonlight Village, probably as the last one. That is the order that I would recommend personally. This guy should be dead here, hopefully, sometime soon. Let's back out of the room for now. The blue bees with the added attack speed are quite scary. And our damage per second as a group. Oh, wait, what? Okay. Oh, wow. This, I believe, is not good, but it is an exaltation dungeon white, so it is good for the forge, and it also has decent feed power. So that is very surprising, actually. I was not expecting to get a white pick, but I am very happy about that. And with this group damage, I believe the smart play here would be to actually just Nexus, because I think we would be stuck in there for at least another 10, well, probably not 10 minutes, but some other long amount of time if we kept on going. And it would also be pretty dangerous. So just doing the tea room and stashing the light is I think a fine play there. And I will cut to whenever I get into this realm. All right, and we are in Chimera. There are only 12 realms, although I think I would probably end the recording before the realm closes. And we just happen to teleport to a crystal prison, so that is very nice. And we get a dexterity, which we absolutely love. And we have just been guzzling dexterity potions these past few episodes. And we are very close, actually. We only need 6 dexterity and 8 speed to max. So it will feel good to get our first max stats. And here we go. Here's a sprite world. Oh no. There are 5 people in here, and then one guy just died. This is a terrible tragedy. And here we are at the boss. And Redbone by Childish Gambino just came on. So we already know that we're gonna get a white bag with that. Nope. Okay. It was a good try though. It was a good try. The intro to Redbone is possibly one of the greatest pieces of music in existence. And a tier 8 staff, but it might have an enchantment actually, so we could look to see if it does, and it does not. Okay, so just drop it. Actually, I'll use this one instead of the one that we currently. The ice cave does actually drop a staff as a white bag, so this could be a good call. This dungeon has not been reworked in a while, I believe, and it is fairly outdated, although you could say that of quite a few dungeons in this game. But I don't believe the mechanics have been changed. I think the enemies might have been changed, but the boss fight has remained the same over the years. Although feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. And we can now go into the boss, which is here. The boss will have more defense due to the dungeon modifier, so that is something to look out for. Our Spellblade, which armor versus is probably a better choice. And I think I will probably end the episode after this dungeon. This seems like a pretty natural stopping point. And in this phase, you can just blast them. And now, after this, the boss should go into a second chest phase, and then after this phase, he should be dead. And of course, you always love to see a good bit of mystic trolling. That's always good. Tier 5 helmet, okay. And this is where we will stop this recording. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.